Urgent! The hypersonic missile that made Iranian bunkers obsolete in one night Strait of Hormuz, 4 o'clock in the morning. An American missile drops from the sky at 7 times the speed of sound. It crosses the Persian Gulf in 3 minutes. The Iranian missile battery hidden inside the mountain tunnel never sees it coming. The Iranian radar, the best the regime has, cannot track it. The missile slams into the tunnel. The entire mountain folds in on itself. Out at sea, 12 Iranian fast boats scatter across the dark water. Throttles wide open. Wakes cutting in 12 different directions. The American destroyer rotates its main gun. The first fast boat erupts in flames. The second one disappears under a column of water. A heavy machine gun cuts the surface around a third. And on the bridge of the American ship, a cold voice on the radio says the words this regime has been afraid of for 47 years. Weapons are free. All units cleared to engage. 6 hours before that, the sea was calm. 22 12-hours ship's time. USS Mason, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer of the United States Navy, holds station on the southern edge of the blockade line. 14 knots. Routine readiness condition. The radar operator scans the surface picture. Hundreds of commercial contacts. Oil tankers in continuous flow southbound. Fishing dhows along the Iranian coast, where they have been every night for 1,000 years. On the flight deck aft, 2 American helicopters sit ready. One armed, one in maintenance. Above the ship, a clear sky. Below it, the constant hum of the engines. No panic, no chaos. Just the disciplined routine of a Navy that has been working this water for 50 years. Then the radar operator leans forward. There is something on the northern flank that should not be there. Before we move on to the next hour, if you are watching this and you still have not subscribed, stop right now and subscribe. Hit the bell. Because naval analysis at this level, real scenarios, real assets, real orders, disappears fast from YouTube. This kind of content the platform hides, demotes, makes vanish from your feed. You may never find another channel showing modern naval combat the way you are seeing it here. Subscribe now. Hit the bell and come back into the chaos. Because what comes next is heavy. 2212. Calm sea. Radar operator leaning forward. 12 small contacts on the northern flank. The Combat Information Center comes alive. Operators slide into their stations without a word. The Tactical Action Officer takes his seat. The ship's radar, the Aegis system, the spine of every Arleigh Burke, locks onto the formation and starts feeding numbers. Speed, heading, spacing. The contacts are moving at 38 knots. They are spread across 2 miles of water in a dispersed line. They are pointed straight at the Mason. The captain is on the bridge in under 90 seconds. Coffee still in hand. He sets the cup down on the chart table and does not pick it up again. 12 fast boats, moving in dispersed formation, at 38 knots, on direct intercept course with an American destroyer enforcing a naval blockade. Nothing about that geometry is innocent. It is too fast for fishing, too dispersed for transit, too disciplined for civilian traffic. The captain looks at the Aegis display for a full 5 seconds. Then he turns to the Tactical Action Officer and asks the question that decides the next 10 minutes. Are they showing weapons? Initial classification comes in from the Combat Information Center. IRGC pattern. Revolutionary Guard Fast Boat Doctrine. The same swarm geometry the Iranians have been training in the Persian Gulf for 15 years. The captain reaches American Central Command on the encrypted line, reports the picture, asks for rules of engagement. The answer takes 17 seconds. Those 17 seconds matter, because in 17 seconds, 12 Iranian fast boats moving at 38 knots cover almost a third of a nautical mile. The order arrives. The captain reads it once. He hands it to the tactical action officer. The officer reads it once. He hands it back. Radio warnings go out, first in Farsi, then in English. 3 repetitions. Standard procedure. The boats do not respond. The boats do not slow down. The boats do not change course. They keep coming. And the silence on the radio is its own answer. This is the moment in any naval scenario where the trained crew separates from the scared one. There is no hesitation on the Mason, no raised voices, no drift in procedure. The captain orders the helicopter into the air. The armed one, naval combat helicopter, infrared pod warm and tracking inside a minute. The first thermal feed comes back to the Combat Information Center. The lead fast boats are riding low in the water, heavy, loaded, and along the rails of every boat, dark cylinders the operators recognize immediately. Naval mines. The boats are not coming to fight the Mason. They are coming to lay a minefield across the southern crossing of the strait, to trap the destroyer between mines ahead and whatever else the Iranians have prepared on the coast behind them. The captain says one word into the bridge intercom. Confirmed. Then a second feed comes in. Higher altitude. American drone, watching the coast from 40,000 feet. 2 thermal signatures emerging from the side of a coastal mountain near Bandar Abbas. Mobile ballistic launchers coming out of the tunnel. 3 minutes from launch readiness, maybe less. The tactical action officer reads the elevation, the bearing, the launcher type. He pushes the data up the chain in a single burst transmission to Central Command. The reply takes 11 seconds. In those 11 seconds, the captain looks once at the radar display, once at the infrared feed, and once at the chart of the strait. Then he turns to the bridge crew and says the words he has been trained for 30 years to say only when there is nothing left to say. Weapons are free. All units cleared to engage. Distance to the lead fast boats is 2.5 nautical miles. Distance from a U.S. installation in Qatar to the coastal mountain north of Bandar Abbas is just under 400 nautical miles. The Mason's main 5-inch gun rotates, computes, fires. The first shell hits the lead fast boat at full speed, and the entire boat disappears into a column of black water and orange flame. The second shell reaches the second boat before the first column of water has settled. The American helicopter, holding position above the formation, releases a missile. The fourth fast boat in the line catches fire and rolls onto its side. The heavy machine gun on the helicopter opens up. Lines of tracer fire stitch across the water around the fifth boat. The crew on board does not get a chance to release their mines. And 400 miles to the south, in a U.S. installation in Qatar, a hypersonic missile leaves its launcher. The Dark Eagle. The American hypersonic weapon the Pentagon has been holding in reserve for a full decade. Mach 5. 3,500 kilometers of range. A warhead carrying kinetic energy equivalent to 700 kilograms of dynamite, with no explosive needed. The first time in history, the weapon has been used in combat. It crosses the Persian Gulf in 3 minutes. The Iranian radar tracking the coast picks up nothing it can lock on. The pulse passes through the air faster than the radar can resolve it. The missile goes into the side of the mountain, through the rock face, into the tunnel. The mountain folds. The 2 mobile launchers, the last meaningful ballistic capability the regime had left on the southern coast, never finish their pre-launch sequence. On the Mason, the radar operator watches 3 things happen at the same time. 5 fast boats burning on the surface. 2 mobile heat signatures vanishing on the coast, and a single hypersonic track on the long-range plot, fading because the strike is already over. They did not fight a ship. They fought a system built across 40 years of layered defense, satellite cueing, real-time targeting, and a missile no Iranian radar in service can track. And what you have just watched is not fiction. The war between the United States and Iran began on the 28th of February, 2026. By late April, the American naval blockade had cut 60% of Iran's food imports. President Pezeshkian went on state television and asked Iranians to eat less and turn off the lights. Foreign Minister Araghchi flew to Moscow asking Putin for help, and Putin offered to mediate until President Trump, in the Oval Office, told reporters he would rather see Putin busy finishing the war in Ukraine. The Institute for the Study of War published a report identifying General Ahmad Vahidi of the Revolutionary Guard as the figure now actually running the Iranian regime. And on the 29th of April, 2026, American newspapers leaked that U.S. Central Command had filed a formal request with the Pentagon for permission to use the Dark Eagle against Iran, the same hypersonic missile the United States had guarded for an entire decade, expecting a war with China in the Pacific. That same day, 3 American carrier strike groups stood concentrated in the Middle East. 50,000 American troops were already in position, and the Iranian regime had just banned the export of its own steel, the raw material of every missile, every drone, every tank. What you just saw is what can happen the minute the President of the United States gives the order. The 2 surviving fast boats turn for shore. Their formation collapses. The discipline they had at 38 knots is gone. They run for the Iranian coast at full throttle, throwing wakes that nobody on the Mason bothers to track anymore. The destroyer holds position. The Eisenhower Group, holding cover to the south, never alters course. The radar picture 3 minutes after the strike shows the same picture it always shows after layered defense has done its job. Distance increasing, contacts retreating, water settling. The boats that came to break the blockade end up running back through it. On the bridge of the Mason, the captain picks up his coffee cup again. It is cold. He drinks it anyway. The tactical action officer files the report. The radar operator goes back to scanning oil tankers and fishing dhows. No celebration, no raised voices, just the disciplined silence of a navy that does this for a living. And somewhere on the coast, inside what used to be a tunnel, 2 mobile launchers, and the men who were going to fire them are buried under a mountain. The Iranian regime spent 47 years building its identity on a single idea. The idea that it was unbreakable, that it would survive any pressure, any war, any sanction. That belief assumed the next war would look like the last one. Slow missiles, predictable carriers, time to react. It assumed wrong. The Dark Eagle does in 3 minutes what the rest of the American arsenal could not do in 3 years of quiet pressure. The men inside that tunnel never heard it coming. And the men running the regime in Tehran are starting to understand that they will not hear it either. They did not fight a ship. They fought a system that had been waiting 10 years to be used. Now, I want to hear from you. Should the president have authorized the Dark Eagle the moment those tunnels lit up on infrared? Or was the 17-second pause for rules of engagement the only thing separating discipline from a war crime? Drop your side in the comments. The debate starts down there, and I read everyone. And if you made it this far, and you still have not subscribed, subscribe right now and hit the bell. Because the next video is already in production, and it is heavy. We break down what happens if China watches all of this and decides to test the same trick on a United States carrier in the South China Sea. You do not want to miss this one. Subscribe. hit the bell. And I will see you next week.